Bendiciones. Alafia, everybody. So I'm coming to you with another Pataki. For those who don't know, Pataki is a story in Yoruba tradition, typically involving the Orisha. And it's here to teach us lessons about life and give us ancient wisdom. So I know people love when I come with these Patakis, and that's why I kick them out for y'all. You did. So in this Pataki, it's involving Ogun. Ogun, yeah. And so Ogun, for those who don't know Ogun, Ogun is the Orisha that is over iron, war, the advancement of civilization, technology, things like that. Ogun deals with, that's his forte. All right. And if you know Ogun, you know that Ogun is a tireless worker. Ogun work. That's what he do. That's what Ogun does. He is a tireless worker, right? And so on this day, Ogun was doing what he does every day, work hard. And essentially, he realized that he didn't eat and that he was hungry. And so he notices a man fishing on a lake. And so Ogun goes to that lake, and he sits down and he casts his fishing rod, right? And lo and behold, Ogun lands a fish. And so the man that was fishing before him looks over at Ogun and he's like, yo, really? Like, that's my fish. Because I've been out here for hours. You just got here and you think you're just going to land a fish? And Ogun is like, it's not my fault that you're not a good fisherman. And I came out here and I got the fish. So now they got a back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Ogun feel this way. The man on the lake feel this way. And, their bickering is heard off in the distance from the house that was also next to the lake. And so the man comes out of the house and he's like, well, really, this ain't none of y'all fish. It's my fish because this is my lake and this is my property. So really, Ogun, you can come off that fish and give it to me. So now all three of them is arguing. You know what I'm saying? They back and forth. And they point on the table. Now Eshu hears the whole thing going on in the cut. Eshu, if it's a disagreement or something, Eshu heard it. You know what I'm saying? Eshu listening. And so Eshu peep game, and then he go up to Olofi. And he's like, Olofi, there's a problem going on at the lake, and they're arguing over a fish. So Olofi's like, all right, I'm going to go down there and make sense of it. So when Olofi gets there, Olofi is like, give me the fish. Olofi hears the story, and he's like, give me the fish. So when they give Olofi the fish, what Olofi does is cuts the fish into 3 parts and then hands it back to Oggun, the owner of the lake, and the man that was fishing. And then the argument is solved. So, I like to break down the deeper meanings of these stories, right? Because they contain so many different aspects of wisdom in them, right? And so, essentially, what this is teaching us, family, is that equality is more important than being right. Equality is more important than being right. In life, there's instances where it makes more sense, even though you may be justified in what you're doing. It may make more sense to concede or to find a way to solve the issue that's beneficial for the collective parties involved who may have disputes about what's going on. We often see this in relationships. This person and this person is arguing. Maybe the man is right over his wife, or the wife is right over her husband, and they're going to fight until they win that argument. And then guess what? They end up winning the argument. But then their relationship starts to go sour because of the nature of the argument. Maybe this argument was something actually petty that you could have let go. But it was more important to win the argument than to think of the collective of the family unit. And this is a piece of wisdom that is very difficult in today's era to understand because everybody has so much toxicity in their ego. Your ego is not an issue. It's when it becomes toxic that's an issue. You understand? And so that toxicity is what creates these splits in relationships, and people can't apologize to each other and all kind of weird stuff that happens in today's age. But it's not only true just in that instance, this is true around the board with life in today's society. You have to at times look at what makes sense to all the parties involved and not just be focused on yourself because you may have a legitimate argument. And that's another issue of today is the individualism of the modern world, especially in the West. There's an individualism that makes it difficult for people to operate within a community and to operate within a society. And this creates struggle. This creates strife because instead of people working together as a unit to progress, they're being individualistic about everything. This is how you can get things like an NBA that has all of these black millionaires, but not a black league. You see? Because why? Everybody's worrying about their contract and what they make on their team and their rings and their this and that. So, okay, well, we can just do that then. This is what you see. This is why, especially in our community, you see these standouts, but these standouts doesn't translate to uplifting of the overall community. Yes, they are justified in feeling like I worked hard to get here. I went through these struggles to get here. But what about the equality of your people? What about the world that your kids are going to have to grow up in and your grandchildren and so on? You see? And this is the things that are not thought about. We see this in various aspects of our society today. And this creates an uprising and a constant bickering of different groups of people. They feel justified and they feel justified. And the people in power feel justified. But the people in power are not willing to be truly equal. Is it worth your country going down the drain? Is it worth the pain that gets put on the citizens when inflation goes through the roof? You see how these things connect? I don't want to get too deep on this because it's a pataki, but you see how these things start to connect, family? It's deeper than a fish. Y'all can split the fish. You know what I'm saying? You can split the fish and make an agreement from that point to say, okay, now from this point, the fish I catch is my fish, and the fish you catch is your fish. Or maybe the fish I catch is mostly mine, but like I give the head of the fish head to the person that owned the lake, or maybe a slither of the fish to the person that owned the lake. You know what I'm saying? Maybe y'all work it out like that. Or maybe you work it out with the person on the lake, like, okay, when I catch the fish, I'm going to give you a third of the fish and keep the rest, right? But there has to be a willingness to compromise. There has to be a need for unity, a need for equality. And this is what, our ancestral knowledge is trying to teach us, family. And so, with that said, y'all, that's the story of Ogun. Ogun, yeah, more yeah. Ogun and the fish. All right, so I'll catch you on the next one. Or Dabo.